Hey, beautiful people. So today I wanted to make a video about overwhelm, which is really, really common on the breast cancer journey. So there's a few things I want you to know about overwhelm, and then I'm going to go through just 3 simple steps that you can do in order to get yourself out of overwhelm. So firstly, I think it's really important for you to understand that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you when you go into overwhelm. And in fact, overwhelm is actually an intelligent response within our body-mind system. And I think this is really helpful to understand. So our nervous system will kind of send us into overwhelm when there's just too much going on. It's like an intelligent response in order to say, enough, stop. So it's actually, if you know about the fight-flight response with stress, this is the freeze part of that stress response. So it's a survival response. It actually shuts our system down as a kind of self-preservation mechanism. So I really want you to grasp that it is an intelligent response. There's nothing wrong with you. It's definitely not an opportunity to beat yourself up. Sometimes we have that personality pattern where we can be really hard on ourselves. So just if you recognise that in yourself, just be really aware of that and use overwhelm as a flag to stop and be super, super kind to yourself. Okay, so having said that, like I've said, overwhelm is a normal and an intelligent response when there's too much input. So, you know, when you've had a breast cancer diagnosis and you're on that healing journey, because it kind of reorientates your whole life, there's new information and new input that you didn't have before, and especially when you've just had a diagnosis, it can kind of come all at once. So it can be a real onslaught of information that's kind of a lot to process and think about. So the types of things I'm talking about, for example, are when you have a diagnosis, you get told, well, first, usually you have some pretty horrible physical processes done, like maybe a biopsy or a mammogram, which aren't that pleasant and they can be stressful in themselves. And then on top of that, you get told information about what kind of breast cancer you have, which at first can be a little bit like, well, a bit meaningless. Then you get told what kind of treatment they're going to give you. You're going to have maybe some choices that you're offered, so you're going to have to make some decisions around that. You might even want to decide whether the medical route is for you or not. Maybe you want to take on board what else you can do if you are going to have medical treatment, or what your alternatives are, in which case you're going to have to start researching and looking at information. So you might want to think about changing your diet, what supplements to take, what lifestyle changes you need to make. I mean, oh my God, right? It's a lot of information all in one go. So you would have to be some kind of superwoman to not be overwhelmed, at least a small amount, by all of that. So I just really want you to grasp that if you go into overwhelm around this, completely normal. But you don't need to stay there, okay? And this is the really important thing, because overwhelm is a stress response, it's a survival response, it's meant to be short-lived, and then we want to come back to a state of calm. So because if you let yourself stay in overwhelm, you're letting yourself stay in stress, and your body can't do what it needs to do to heal in that state. In addition, you can't think clearly, you know, and you need all of your resources available to you right now. So being in overwhelm cuts you off from that. So you need to take some steps to kind of bring yourself back to a place of calm, or as near to that as possible. So I want to give you 3 steps that can really help move you out of overwhelm so that you can actually feel better, for one thing, and that you have those resources available to you to make the decisions that you need to. Plus, you put your body back into a more healing state. So, these 3 steps are: first of all, get it all out of your head and down on paper. The second one is acknowledge that step, because that's a very powerful step. And once you've acknowledged it, notice how you feel. And then the third step is to walk away, shift your focus, and do something nice for yourself. So I'm just going to run through those steps in a little bit more detail. So the first one, get it out of your head and onto paper. Part of the overwhelm is just the amount of stuff that's in your mind, right? Too much information. So the best way to deal with that is to just get a piece of paper and a pen, sit down and just brain dump it. Get it out of your head onto paper. Everything you're thinking about, everything you're feeling, what the doctor said, who you want to tell, who you don't want to tell, what you're worrying about, what you're frightened of. Just write down what comes to you, all the stuff that's whizzing around up here. Even if it kind of feels a bit unimportant, it doesn't matter. Even if it feels small or silly, it doesn't matter. Just get it out and down on paper. And that's all for this step. So do that. Your second step is see your paper in front of you, put your pen down, and just acknowledge that you've done this. Okay, I have written everything down. I've got it out of my head. It's on paper. This is something I've done. So this acknowledges that you have the power to do something. So acknowledging that you've done something, you've taken some action, and that action is really important. That action is within your power, whereas all the stuff you've written down right now feels kind of out of your power or out of your control right now, which is part of the overwhelm. So this is really important, just acknowledging this step you have taken, that you've done it successfully. And you may not feel super great still. That's okay, it doesn't matter. But just acknowledge that this is something you've done. Have I said that enough? I think so. Okay. And once you've acknowledged that you've done this thing, you've been successful at it, just tune into how you feel. Do you feel just a little bit better for doing that, for taking control, and for doing something very achievable in this moment? How do you feel? Great. So your final step then, get up and walk away and shift your focus onto something else, something pleasurable. So, it could be as simple as making yourself a cup of tea, sitting down, taking the time to drink it. It could be something you really enjoy, like doing some art or drawing or going out for a walk in nature. It could be picking up the phone to a friend. Just something that is different, that switches your focus and shifts your energy towards something a little bit more relaxing and pleasurable, whatever that is. Maybe it's tucking yourself up into bed and having a little nap. Whatever it is, take a break, and bring a little bit of joy and pleasure back in. You only need a fraction of a shift here. You don't need to move from complete overwhelm to ecstatic joy. It's just a little shift. That's all you're looking for. Okay, so if you've done these 3 steps and you find that actually it hasn't made any difference, you're still in an overwhelm. Sometimes when we have strong overwhelm patterns and we get really triggered, we can end up sort of looping in mental thoughts that feel very anxiety provoking, and it's really difficult to get out of them. This is my speciality. This is what I really help women with, is those clearing those intense emotions and clearing those unhelpful patterns. mental and emotional patterns. So if you find that this didn't work for you first time, try it again. If not, get in touch with me. I can definitely help. I do have a program called Stop Stressing, Start Healing, which is designed specifically to help you get out of overwhelm. The only difference between doing it yourself and doing the program is obviously you get some guidance and help and hand holding from me. So if that's of interest to you, I'm going to post the link below the video. Check it out. Let me know how you get on with the exercise. Like this video if you like it, and do subscribe to the channel for more helps and tips along the journey. Okay, I wish you all the best for now. Take care.